So Kareem, I mean, you've obviously done a lot of work at Oakland, and congratulations. I know the board voted last night to make a change in their curriculum, and that's been a journey that's taken years to get to, right? So what advice would you have? There's other people in other communities who are advocating. It's hard to get school districts to change their behavior, right? What advice would you give to an advocacy group that wanted to engage with its school district to try to get them to change their curriculum and instruction for reading?
Well, the first thing, I think, you can't make assumptions. Like how I started off saying, why do you think the kids aren't reading? Just ask them. First, we had a list of 10 questions, a PDF that we sent, first off, to graduate schools. We sent it to nonprofits. We sent it to school district officials and board members, and we just let them answer these questions. Here are the 5 elements. How do you teach these things? What specific tools do you use to teach phonemic awareness? What about comprehension? What we found was that schools have a legacy of curriculum and things that build up. We had one school district that had like 7 different curricula for reading. 7. And each one, and they said, well, this one does this, and this one does that, and this one does, and we do. Teachers are not magicians. Okay. We're like, listen, that's an interesting concept. But no one had ever just cleared the deck and said, we're trying to get at these root causes or root things. These are the tools we're going to use, and we're going to train you and support you and give you everything you need. Maybe we already have those programs. Maybe not. But let's figure it out together. You have to give them permission to fail. Districts, and they don't want to look bad. Board members may be a little more vulnerable, but staff, because they have, they're in charge. And the thinking is, if I'm in charge and I don't know, I'll lose credibility. So you have to give them permission to be vulnerable and lead with vulnerability. That's what I'd say is the biggest thing to get them on board. There's a time to go hard, but you don't start off with that. You got to start off as a partner, whether you're a foundation or whether you're a nonprofit or whether you're a community member, and just say, listen, I'm here to help. Why do you think the kids aren't reading? Here's some questions, and just let them work. They will get to the point, they will usually get to the point where they realize they don't know, unless they're an ideologue. But if you're vulnerable and ask simple questions that they know they should know the answers to, they'll usually get there.
That's great advice. And I know that's been true in my school district, where if you're not a partner, if you're not their thought partner, then you're not going to be able to engage with them to make any progress. Hey, Arun or Kareem, I guess I'd love to hear, I mean, we've heard about some progress at Oakland and changing the curriculum. Are there districts in California that you can point to that have actually been able to move the needle on student reading success? And what have they done?
I could answer, but I know, Arun, you probably want to brag because you guys support some of them. So,
why don't you go ahead, Kareem, and then
well, I'd say look at Pajaro Valley. I'd say look at them. They're using SIPS as a foundational skills program, which is an intervention program.
For people that don't know, Pajaro Valley is just south of Monterey on the coast there, in a town called Watson.
They're doing phenomenal work, but they're all aligned. The superintendent, the chief academic officer, like they make videos together, and there's no disconnect. Most districts, one person thinks this, the other person thinks that, this person thinks this, they're all over the place. They're very aligned, and that matters. You also have people like Long Beach who have really begun to turn a corner. However, and they're using curriculum that I would say is not aligned to the research consensus, just not. What they do is, if a kid is struggling in first grade, they pull them out 30 minutes a day and they tutor them on the spot. That's it. 30 minutes a day tutoring everybody who can't read. Miraculously, there's some parents who say, well, I could skip school just do the tutoring. No, it doesn't work that way. But the point is that's why they're starting to learn. So the ones who are really moving are the ones who either by program, by the design of the curriculum, or by the supplements to it, are making sure their kids are getting what they need. and they have everybody on the same page. Those are two off the bat that I'd say, but Pajaro Valley is the one. Then you go outside of California. I can't tell you how frustrated I get when districts adopt it or going through an adoption process and they try to find out what their California neighbors are doing. Why do you care what your California neighbors are doing if they can't read either?
Which
So
is,
look around the country.
which is, you know, is like an almost universal experience in California.
I know, it's ridiculous.
It's like the most important data is what are the 3 districts next door to me doing?
Whatever reason, that's what it is. I got to look good in front of my neighbors. I want to be cool at the banquet. So when Oakland, we tussled. This is when we fought over. I was like, you guys are nuts. I don't care what West Contra Costa is doing. I'm from West Contra. I'm from Richmond. I want to know around the country what's working. So I'm in Texas. I'm in Delaware. I'm in Virginia. You could go on Ed Trust's website and they have a podcast called Ordinary Districts Doing Extraordinary Things. It's the districts around the country who are kicking butt, and they explore it and they go and they listen to the principals, the main characters, and describe their journey and the decision points they made, the inflections and the funders and the nonprofits and the superintendent and chief. You got to go there. They're about 10. My favorite is season 2 with Seaford, Delaware. Phenomenal. But go to Ed Trust, pull up that podcast. I think they're in season 4 right now. And Arun. So it's not all about the curriculum. Curriculum is important, but it's not all about the curriculum. What decision makers often make a mistake, is that they say, I need something that's going to do all the things, right? It's got to have all the pieces and it's got to be like super robust and I need to be able to check all my boxes. Teachers are not robots. They have to be able to actually do the thing and live. Okay, I'm a teacher, a recovering teacher who paid a heavy price for trying to do all the things. Okay, and so you have to also consider usability and learning curve. How many hours does a teacher have to spend preparing for this lesson? You gotta, if you're not asking that question, your head is off in an ivory tower somewhere. Okay, you say you want the lessons differentiated. You say you want the lessons, you want kids group. You say you want them to use data to drive instruction. You say you want all these things, you want all of our 5 pillars. Then in Oakland, for example, we give teachers 2 prep periods a week. So you have to make sure that the curriculum that's chosen is something that's manageable and that has the key ingredients, but that the teachers can then breathe, because then you have time for being patient, you have time for being kind, you have, I mean, of course people, but your patience, your nerves can run thin. And what sometimes we say we want cultural competency, what we really want is love and patience and long suffering and understanding and attention to detail. And that comes when people actually have the bandwidth to breathe and be present with their students. So there's the science and research, and there's the humanity things. You can't forget about that.
I just wanted to add one thing too, just that Kareem just briefly touched on for a sec, but that I think is really important to highlight, which is if, you know, for either districts or charter management organizations, you know, sort of, if you can get your districts or charter management organizations to be ready to make this pivot, and again, there is this national movement and it's sort of in the zeitgeist now, so that's a good thing. It's very, very important to be kind of granularly aware of like the details, because curricula can look like excellent and can be excellent, but it doesn't mean it's going to be an excellent fit for the demographic or sort of for the conditions that exist in your district or in the schools that have the most need in your context. So they might be, you know, excellent programs based in the science of reading, but it doesn't mean that they're going to actually get the effects, because they might be very, very difficult to implement. So implementation is really important. And that's also where Arun and Pivot come in. Sorry, Kareem, go ahead.
No problem. Just to build on that, curriculum and publishers. So teachers assume that whatever is in this box is going to work. You're paying me to do the stuff in the box and to put my own special seasoning on it. Okay, and so they're not curriculum designers, they're teachers. But you give me this box of stuff, and I'm assuming you know what you're doing. Otherwise, you wouldn't give me this box, right? The principal is trusting this chief academic officer. The chief academic officer is trusting the publisher. We've talked with publishers. I've interviewed CEOs of several publishers. You know what they say? It's not our job to include the pillars. It's our job to give the customers what they want. We're like any other business. If we were cars, if we were a car company and everyone was driving SUVs, we look silly rolling out in a Prius. They want an SUV, we're gonna be like Texas and make SUVs, the best ones on the market. That's how publishers think. I do know a nonprofit publisher, and they're like, no, we just gotta cover our costs and we're good. No, they're the only ones I know of that have actually told the district no. Well, actually I know two. They said, no, it's not a good fit for you. Others will sell you whatever you want to buy. They're responsible to their shareholders. Give them what they want and make it minimally viable, and we're good. And they'll buy it. It's their job to figure out what they want. They're the educators. We're just here to publish and give them what they need to do their job. So we have to also change our mindset around whose responsibility is it to do the diligence? And if you fund it, then you need to make sure that they can show you the diligence that they've done. If you're a nonprofit and you support that, whatever the plan is, where was the diligence? So I just want to put that out there, because publishers, you can't assume that they're giving you gold. They're giving you what you want, because that's what their shareholders demand that they do.